then two other options we have here are watercolor crayons. So these are very similar to your regular crayons, but like the watercolor pencils, can be activated in a different way with water, making a nice effect, and oil pastels. I will demonstrate a little bit with oil pastels. So these are going to be your next messiest medium after the paints themselves. But they're really nice because they, in a way, mimic paint more than any of these other mediums. So as you can see, they're kind of like a crayon, and you can blend colors nicely with them using your finger or using a paper towel, depending on which, how clean you want the project to be. So using a finger, you can smooth the oil pastels and blend them together nicely. We can add some more color in here. Students will have to wash their hands after using oil pastels in this way, so you could also put a paper towel over your finger and that would make it a little bit cleaner. Now this is a little bit messy, especially when you start using blacks or darker colors, as you can see, but very nice effect anyway. But as soon as we start using this, it's quite messy, so you will need to have some cleanup materials available. Wet wipes are nice, and paper towels. Okay. Oil pastel fixes to the paper very well. You can stack them on each other, there's no drying time, so if we had a bunch of these stacked on top, it wouldn't smear. So they're great for that, actually. There is a fixant spray that you can spray final works with, but I don't find that necessary with oil pastels, unless someone has a damp hand and really smears it, other than that. But the oil pastel on the paper will remain workable, so there is the potential to smear if someone's not being careful with the work. Even weeks later, if you come along and just smear across, you will smear it, but you would have to be not paying attention. So as long as the art is handled carefully. So let's take a look at the watercolor crayons and just get an idea of how these are different than the oil pastels. The way that we use these, you can also apply to watercolor pencils. Similar medium. So I'll demonstrate how to apply them to the paper and how to incorporate water. So we'll do some blending. As you can see, they have nice, rich colors, but they do not smear in the way that oil pastels do. So there's a little bit of blending, but not the same as oil pastels. So very similar texture to a crayon. Do another color here. And try to blend that. That's a good example. You should always clean your fingers in between blending. So there is a little bit of blending, but not as much as we saw with the oil pastels. So now I will just take a regular paintbrush, get it wet, a little bit of water, and now we will brush across, and you'll see how the crayons turn into a very nice, rich paint. And that can be used just like watercolor paints. Again, this will take a little more drying time, introduction of water, but if you have one day available to do that, it's a great project. If you have several classes that you can devote to art, you may want to incorporate more than one medium. I enjoy working with pencil, the graphite, and oil pastels and watercolor pencils or crayons interchangeably. I encourage students to use their imagination to decide which mediums they most want to use. So some students submit pieces that were done simply with graphite pencil, black and white images. They're very successful. Some students incorporate all three mediums together.